Okay, so welcome everyone to the session. Nice to see you all here again. So we'll just dive straight into it. We've done our sharing, so let's just have a little dive into today's email. Have a look at the quote. And there's quite a bit of teaching actually. So we'll read that and then go into today's lesson. And I have to finish at about 25 to 3 today. So we've got about 2 hours, just under 2 hours.
I've got to finish at 2:15, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. You just got
2:30 for me too.
2:30. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're
we're aligned.
Yeah.
It's often hard.
We're seeing.
Okay. So yeah, well, Susie did an amazing session the other day. We did a group call and then went into one-on-one session, and it was really powerful stuff. So.
That was the one I watched. Without the one-to-one, of course.
yes, yeah. Well, it was just kind of led into it. And I said, well, let's do it now. And
perfect time, yeah.
Okay, so Lynn, if you can read that quote for us. This is a quote from actually the workbook as well. This was a lesson we did about 3 weeks ago. No, more than that, about more than a month ago, actually. Lesson 198 it's from, but really
appropriate
for today's lesson. So I thought I'd bring it up again.
Forgiveness, letting go, is the only road that leads out of disaster, past all suffering, and finally away from death. How could there be another way when this one, I've got words over that, hold on. When this one is the plan of God, perfect love himself. And why would you oppose it, quarrel with it, seek to find 1,000 ways in which it must be wrong, 1,000 other possibilities?
Yeah, so any thoughts on that?
Yeah, as I said, I've got some forgiving to do, so.
We look for other ways. I remember once someone said to me, oh, well, your forgiveness is all very well, but there's 1,000 other techniques.
Because it is causing suffering.
Which is exactly, and she was just saying to us, there's only one way here. It's really, really simple. And you can avoid that way all you like. You can avoid letting go, and you can try and kid yourself that it's actually effective. But really, it's just window dressing, unless you're actually getting to the core of the problem, which is your attachment.
I've been so aware of that. It's been
to this world and things in it. Until you're willing to go there, you're just kind of fiddling around. It's you're not really doing anything.
I guess I've been quite ignorant to what forgiveness is, I guess, and letting go, because I think you're right, Jono. I think when you first go down this route of like, oh, what have I got to forgive? Or no, I ain't going down that road. And I think probably that's what I've done all my life. And I've ended up here now that I've got no choice but to forgive myself. And after like the other session on Monday, it's all about forgiving myself. It's not about anything else. It's because I was believing my own thoughts. My whole perception of everything was distorted, regardless of where I was or what I was. And it's your own doing. And I think that's the hard bit to live with.
It really hurts. You know you're doing it yourself. It's like, oh, this is so mad. I know what I'm doing. I know that's true. I know I'm doing this to myself, but how do I stop?
And it's really bad, because you come on to things like this and it says you have a choice. You keep reminding us you've got a choice. Yes, I know I've got a choice. I don't even realize I'm doing it, So you get even angry and madder with yourself.
Yeah,
when
that doesn't help.
When actually you need to stop and just know that you're aware of it all and let it go. And I think that's the biggest, and I think that's probably what my whole loop has been all my life, because when you know that you're doing it as well, and then you do tend to give yourself a hard time, you can't help giving yourself a hard time because you've been led to all this juice, all this goodness, but you still can't seem to. It's the ego, it's the mind fighting with you constantly.
It's that thing where when you become more aware, you feel like you should know better.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I just not doing better. I'm not dealing with it better. I'm obviously not letting go and not forgiving myself.
Well, I think you are. I think it's a process. You're showing up, you're listening to recordings, so that's good. You're showing up today for a live session, that's good. So I think you've got to give yourself some credit and say, well, look, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm making my best effort. But to really let go is the hardest thing you'll do.
Do you think you have to go? Yeah. Do you think you have to go down the route of blaming yourself and making yourself? Do you think that's part of the whole process then? So you can just let yourself off the hook? Because sometimes when it's becoming clearer and clearer how you lead a separate life because of something that happens or something, and straight away something's happening. But do you seem to have to go down this whole process of the separation of blaming yourself, and then does it correct itself because you carry on with the process? Because sometimes it just feels more intense than anything. It just feels that the more you're doing, the more intense it gets, and the more you can't seem to leave yourself alone. It's like, and yes, you are making that choice, but half the time, I guess you're not aware of it. It's so easy to fall asleep. I guess I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but
I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's a process, and it takes a lot of time and effort to master this. Yes, what he's asking you is not a trivial exercise. He's asking you to let go of every value, every belief that you've ever held.
Yeah.
To let that all go and restore your mind to this blank canvas state, pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is its true nature. But for a very long time, you've been away with the fairies. You've been thinking about all kinds of illusions in this lifetime and many, many lifetimes, over and over and over again. And he's saying, okay, I'm going to take you on a process to bring it to an end. And that is going to test you to the very core. Your ego must be tested to the core, brought to the judgment of the Holy Spirit, and undone. And this is, we're talking ultimate enlightenment here. This is the end game. This is the highest peak of spiritual attainment. So of course it's not going to be easy. And what you're going for here is the infinite absolute ultimate of it all. And there's a process to that. It's unwinding the ego, and then that happens systematically and progressively, although it doesn't maybe always feel like it. Once you're in the process of it, the Holy Spirit's got you. It's like you're in. Have you ever seen those movies where they lock onto like the tractor beam in Star Trek or whatever, and they're pulling the ship or whatever in? That's what's happening. You're being pulled in. And there's a whole lot of resistance. The ship doesn't want to go, and it all seems to be very scary. But actually, you're locked into the Holy Spirit's tractor beam, and you're being pulled back home. And that's going to happen. It's a done deal. But it's just going to unfold in your experience in a way that can be difficult and challenging, and your mind goes all over the place. And what you've done is upset the equilibrium. So to use another analogy, it's like taking one of those what do you call them, balls with water, and they've got all the snowflakes or whatever, and then you turn it upside down. It's all gone upside down, and then it's going to take a couple of minutes to settle back into a state of equilibrium. And so that's what you're in the process of doing, turning it right side up, having been upside down, and then everything goes up in the air, and then you feel uncertain and unstable. But Yeshua says, there's nothing more uncertain and unstable than an upside down thought system. So you can't rely on that for any kind of stability or security. That was always a false stability and security. So the hero on the hero's journey, to go back to our hero's journey, says, okay, I'm up for this. The status quo has to be upset in order for me to take on my journey. And there it is. It says I'm willing to go outside of the known and turn it all around. The unknown is the opposite of the known. Everything's turned around. Because everything in the known world is upside down. Everything in the known world is actually illusion. Your mind has gone completely upside down. And this is an upside down backwards thought system that is highly dysfunctional. You just can't see it. And now you've got to turn it right side up and go into the unknown, which you've denied. It's actually what's truly known. It's actually who you really are. But you've denied it for so long that it's now become unknown to you. And so that feels scary. It feels like a change, and the known is all being questioned, and you're trying to let that go. It's, these beliefs are persistent, so they want to hang in there. But this unknown, world is calling you, and it can all seem to be quite overwhelming. And if you experience it that way, you're certainly not the first hero to experience it that way. That's why it's challenging, challenges and temptations along the path. The challenge is to keep pushing forward and going into the ultimate, the letting go, the abyss, which is the death of the ego, and to overcome whatever obstacles the ego puts to you, which are all temptations in whatever form. The temptation to abandon this and go scurrying back into the known world and saying, well, I'm safe there, so I'll go back to the ego for protection and guidance, because that's going to keep me safe. But your spirit knows that that's not, so you have to keep pushing through. And by doing this program and showing up for these sessions and listening to recordings and doing whatever other spiritual practices you do, every time you do a spiritual practice, you are moving along the curve, even if it's tiny, and you might take a few steps back, and then so that's how it goes. But you're inching further forward, and then every now and then you do get a big breakthrough, which I think you just had, Susie. And Lynn, you're probably not far away from a big breakthrough, I can tell you. Because
I've had them in the past. I'm waiting for this one.
And can be very intense. It can seem to be like, oh, I'm not, I'm kind of stuck, and it's all building up, but then eventually the dam wall breaks. So I encourage you, listen to the recordings, and come to more of the live sessions. I said to Susie, if you want to, you just do it ad hoc. So for this month, you just come to more and you pay an extra £12.50, and then you've got 3 sessions a week. So that will accelerate the process for you. It will help you to maybe get through the blocks a little bit faster. And you're putting yourself really, this Zoom room is a field of transformation. You put yourself in the field, and transformation will happen, because that's what happens in the field of transformation. So the more you do that, the more you're saying, yes, I'm open, I'm willing, I'm showing up in that spirit. And then the spirit says, okay, you're willing, great. We'll facilitate this for you. And then a shift comes, and you just don't know when it's going to be. We had no idea, Susie, when you started the session yesterday on Monday, what would happen, did we? But it happened. Just that's the way it goes. It just unfolds.
You said shift happens, not shit happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean in my head? Yeah. You did say shift, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because I mean,
happen. But it can feel like shit sometimes. You can just go, it's all it's all really difficult, and the ego says, forget this, this is too stressful, just go back into the known world. But I've got news for you, you can't.
Thanks, Jono.
You can't go back there, because you're never going to be satisfied by that. You know it's not a satisfying place. But now that you've tasted something else, you can't go back. I mean, imagine I said to you, Susie, okay, go back into your prison of believing that you're a helpless, a helpless, powerless, worthless victim. I mean, that's because that's what the ego is trying to say. I mean, it's inconceivable. You can't go back into a belief like that now that you're aware of it. So there's no going back. There's only forward. As Morpheus said to Neo when he'd woken up in the Matrix, and he's sitting in his room and he's saying, I can't go back, can I? And Morpheus said, no, you can't. But if you could, would you want to? Would you really want to go back to sleep and live a fake in a fake world, in a fake identity, in a way that was so unsatisfying for yourself when you've now awoken? No, it's inconceivable. So the hero goes forward to the ultimate collapse, the death of the ego, and the rebirth into his or her true self, which is the transformation and the at-one-ment. And I think we did there was a lot we did for that, Susie, on Monday. That was happening, and you're going, oh my God. There's the realizations are coming, because you're really seeing the ego. And once you see it clearly in that awareness, it's kind of done for you. Like, okay, I see it, I get it. I see the program.
And I think it's good that you just showed that again, the diagram, because in the unknown, I've just put down on my piece of paper was the powerless, worthless, unlovable person that I believed I was. And the unknown is that I'm actually powerful, worthy, and lovable. So, and because I've not really ventured that, it seems like I have, because in the outside everything looks that way, but inside I've not felt that. That is the unknown for me, to be empowered, to be worthy, and to be lovable. But I think that was good just to show that, because you don't realize how far you're coming, because you're living with yourself, ain't you, constantly? And like I said, I have to constantly remind myself that I'm just aware of it all, because if I don't, I just let the voices take over, and it's a nightmare. It's it's awful. And like I said, I can't binge watch this all the time, because it just does my nutting a bit more, because I'm trying to help myself, but inside I'm not helping myself, because it's just overwhelming me. It's just making me, and even if I breathe through it, I'm a lot better than what I was, but I can still feel that restlessness, that, and that is still doing to me. That is still the ego thing, doing, because I can't just rest in be. So, click on that and see what were they talking about today, and is that going to help me? When really you just take that breath break. But it just feels really intense.
Well, it's quite an intense process, awakening, and this process, the Art of Letting Go program, is quite intense, because it's every day, and there's material coming every day, and so you need to manage it in a way that you can handle it. So that's why, okay, well, there's many ways to engage. You can listen to recordings, you can join live sessions, there's membership options depending on where you're at, and so do what you can manage. And if you think you can manage a bit more, then step into it and see if you can do a bit more. And it's gradually you increase your capacity to handle what previously would have been unmanageable, and then you can start to handle it, and you're upgrading your ability to deal with the challenges and the temptations, which is what the hero becomes. The hero doesn't start off that heroic, but by the time you've gone through all of this, you are the hero, because you've upgraded yourself all the way to get through the journey, to collapse the ego and come out the other side. You have to have upgraded yourself. So it's not optional. You have way more capacity than you had before, when you were just stuck in the known world,
Mm.
trying to get out of the cross the threshold. So there's growth, that's growth. You've grown as a back to your source. You've grown back to who you really are. It's kind of seems to be a paradox. You're not growing into something that's new. You're growing into something that's very old. That's actually always been there, but has been denied.
Yeah.
So as you grow, you return. This is why you got the return. As you grow, and it's a circle. You grow, and then you return back to the place you started. But as T.S. Eliot said, you will know it for the first time. Then you'll really know who you are.
It's great what you're saying, but it's like you can't see this as a physical. Nobody will know around me because it's not a physical thing that I'm going through, or any of us are going through, because it's an internal job, and you can't tell people, well, before I was feeling really powerless, and they think it's a load of bollocks, because they'll think, no, you've done this, you've been a speaker, you've done XXX, how can you say all this stuff about yourself? But it's how I'm feeling inside, And I think
I can see it. I can see it in you, Susie. I can see it in your eyes. As soon as I came on the call, I could see the difference in you. Your eyes are different. And everyone will know that at some level. They might not consciously be able to put it into words, but they'll feel at you.
But I'm just saying, for me to carry on, and for you to keep stepping back, and instead of, I used to have a lot of appreciation. I still believe I do have. It's just that when you're going through it and when you're doing it, you don't see that powerful, because like you said, you go out every day, that's power, just stepping out your front door sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of fear in the world or whatever, but I don't know, all this worthy stuff and lovable stuff, you don't see it as a tangible, because you've got your family, you're doing it all, and you are doing it all, but it feels like it was a pretense. It wasn't real. It wasn't. I think there's so much going off, really, and like you said, and I do appreciate everything that you're all saying. It's, I guess, because I'm still processing it, it has to take me a few days, and then, like I said, probably Saturday I'll look through it all again and then see it with fresh eyes. But
You've just helped me, Susie. You said something earlier, something about I am lovable, and then I suddenly clocked my ego saying to me that I didn't allow myself to be loved. So I've just let that one go. So just know, every time you share something, it's quite powerful for other people listening.
And it made me realise that I don't feel lovable. So your comment, was important.
That really is the core of the ego's program. I am unlovable. I'm unworthy of love. I'm unworthy. I'm not good enough. However you phrase it. I've done next year when we get to the Art of Letting Go course, which is the first 6 weeks, we go through a process of transformation where you get to really see your ego. I mean, we're kind of doing it now, but you'll do it again, and really have a look. And it's the same for everyone. Everyone's got that unworthiness program at the core of the ego. I mean, it's just.
How do you stop yourself when you know you're making that choice? Like Lynn said earlier, we know, and it's like you then beat yourself up because you know what the right thing is to do. And I know it's wasting energy because you see it or you sense it, but I'm always grateful when I talk like this, because it's the truth of what I've been feeling, and it's here to be seen. But you still can't help it. I know that I'm the awareness watching it, but it's when you're left in those dark spaces or left in those spaces that, because you can't really see it, you can't, and it's like when you just said that the ego is all about wanting. It needs that love. It always wants something. It needs something. Whereas I also know on the spiritual side of things, it's all about value. So it's like you're contradicting yourself all the time, or you're really you're actually, that battle is with yourself constantly, because
it's the two self concepts that are fighting for control in your mind, and you can't accept both. So you're either wholly worthy, wholly lovable, perfect, whole, complete as you are, or you're not, and you're unworthy, and you're unlovable, and those are the choices. And it's you can't sort of fudge that. It's one or the other. The one excludes the other. And so now you're turning it all around. And in that process, the ego is going to fight for its life. It's going to do everything it possibly can to convince you that you are unlovable. And how it will do it is it's going to use the external world. That's why you get the challenges and temptations to show you, oh, okay, so you think you're lovable. Okay, well, there we go. We show you that you're unlovable again. And someone in your life shows up to show you that. And then your challenge is, do I believe the form, the illusion of what's been shown to me, or do I believe what I know to be the truth? That spiritual knowledge. And the hero holds consistently, although the hero will waver. That's why it's difficult. You're not going to always be, perfectly in spirit, because you wouldn't be on a journey then. So you have your challenges and you waver, but you always come back to the truth, and you keep choosing the truth. You say, I am love, I am worthy. And all appearances to the contrary, therefore, must be illusion. They're not true. I don't need to listen to them. I don't need to honor them. I don't need to value them. And if someone in my life is showing me that, I'm very grateful, but I don't need to accept what they're saying. So I must say, I honor you. Someone could be really pushing your buttons and telling you you're unworthy. So you can say to them, maybe internally, maybe not externally, I honor you for doing this, but I'm not going to listen to this. That doesn't mean that I accept what you're saying. You're just the mirror of my ego, and so that's you're playing a role. That's really helpful, but I know what the game is. I'm not gonna accept your perception imposed upon me to make me believe in this false self-concept in me. And if someone's consistently trying to do that, then you're better off not being with them. So, okay, do I need this? Do I really need this? No, I don't need this in my life. Thank you for showing me my shadow and helping me release it. That's what we say at the end of this naming your game process we do next year. Thank you for showing me my shadow and helping me release it, but I'm done. Okay, I can move on now. I don't have to keep regurgitating the sickness and the pain. And so then the moment you commit and you really say, I'm done and I am love, then you've collapsed the ego. If you really feel that deeply, then it's the death of the ego, because the ego cannot sustain in the face of love.
I think when you say that, when you feel love, and obviously when we spoke in that hour and of everything that I'd been through as a child or whatever, because I'm holding on to that story, obviously. Well, I was. I think it's very easy for me to go down the negative because, well, I think it's easy for us all to go down the negative, because if there's that need or want that, if you didn't feel that love as a child and then you've created it yourself, that is love in itself, but you're not seeing it. For some reason you're being pushed down again and I think it is to undo whatever I've believed. Because I keep thinking, oh, why can't I feel love? What's happening? But I'm the one blocking myself from it. I won't allow myself to feel the love that I am. I won't, and I won't, but the thing is, the more I say I'm not allowing myself, the more the block continues, because it's like I don't even know how to allow that for myself, It's like I just don't even. And it's good because you can sit in this quiet, you've sat with quiet time, you've allowed shit to come up, you've allowed it to go, but you still won't allow love to take complete control or completely take you, because
you still don't feel the love.
So there's always something there.
Then what do you do?
Where do you go then?
That's where I am.
But what do you do?
You keep reminding yourself the truth. I am love. That's the antidote. So the turnaround for I am not lovable, I'm unlovable, I'm unworthy, is I am that, and you say it, and until you start to believe it, and there's a shift that happens, because all that's happening, if you're not feeling it, is that the block to the awareness of love's presence, which is the ego, is arising quite strongly, and it's blocking you from that, because you feel that love, that divine love, you come home, that's it, it's game over for the ego, no more. Why would you go back into that helpless, enervated little life, being a victim of a seemingly external world, and believing that you really are that victim, and you are unlovable, when you've tasted something else, when you know there's something else, because you've experienced it. So
well, it must be taking over, like you said, because I used to have where I used to get up in the morning and everything was peaceful, and I used to go to sleep and I could get to that peaceful state. But it's like now, like you said, it does feel like it takes over, because it's like last thing at night and first thing when you wake up and you're thinking, I don't think it's supposed to be this way, but you're right, probably giving control of the ego, because that's all I've ever known, and the unknown for me is love, to trust it, to go for it. But it's obviously something within me that still is blocking the whole process. And that's the realization, or the awareness of it, is actually quite painful. It's like I don't want to be aware no more, because it's too painful to be there. And it's the awareness that's hurting now. It's not actually anything that you're saying, apart from beating yourself up. And I know it sounds a bit all over the place, but I think that's the truth for so many of us, that you get to this. And that's why so many people, I've worked in trauma and stuff like that. I've seen patterns like this. I didn't realize I was still in trauma, to be fair. But you can see it so much more. It's just like,
Just smile and breathe, Susie.
Thank you.
Smile and breathe.
Gosh, it's such a good job.
This too shall pass. It's all just a process, and
it's a good job you're never sitting next to me, Jono, saying smile. Let's just smile and breathe, because boy, Jono. No, I'm fine. I can do this. I know I can. Thank you so much for holding this for me, just to say, is it?
No.
Yeah. I don't want to sound like you're projecting your shit then. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to sound as if I'm projecting. It just feels like everything, and you don't, because it's unfair on you and everybody else, because you're just doing this great service and getting me to see my truth.
Oh, and in the process, I get to see mine. So that's how it works.
Here you go again.
I'm really waking myself up through this process, which is what it's ultimately all about. So it's all perfect. It's all really perfect in its apparent imperfection. And you just gotta remember that whatever you're going through, it's okay. Well, there's a bigger picture here. I'm on the hero's journey. This is a done deal. We're all going to get there. It's actually already happened. It's got to play itself out in time. So you can seem to get stuck and go, oh, is this ever going to happen for me? And I'm kind of stuck somewhere along here in the journey. But that's don't get stuck on the timeline. It's just very temporary. Just I'm opening. You show me. And if you have a good practice and a facilitator or teacher, that's very helpful. It just kind of moves you along the journey. The guru's only role is to help the student along the journey, because they're just there to help the person to awaken to their own truth, to see it for themselves. So that's what this process is about for all of us. And I'm just there reflecting it back to you, saying, okay, well, here are the principles. Here's the hero's journey. It's out there, but it's just like there it is in your face, just to remind you again of what we're on. And yes, we go over the same stuff a lot because it's still relevant. If you're here, you need to realize that that's where you are, and that's okay. It's a process. You're not maybe quite there yet, but that's okay. You're moving in the right direction, and maybe tomorrow you'll get there. You don't know. So it's letting go of the control, isn't it? You can't manage your own awakening in the same way as you can manage your ego's life. Just the motorcycle, which is why it's the unknown. It feels a bit scary. I don't know how to do this. No, correct, you don't. That's why it's the unknown. But there is one who does. The spirit knows how to do this. So it will do it for you if you simply step aside and allow it, instead of trying to control this process and manage it. If you allow it, then it will take charge and it's going to show you.
How do you let go of control then? Because that's a good point, because I think it is about control.
You go, I'm clueless. I have no idea.
I know that.
I have no idea. I don't know how to do this. Yeah, I don't know how to meet the challenges and the temptations of the ego. I don't know how to live as a lovable, worthy person, because I've never done it. Honestly, I have no idea. That's the rebirth experience. I have no idea. I'm reborn in the spirit. Says I'm totally clueless. I don't know. And so I'm not going to try and manage my life myself. I'm going to give it over to the spirit. Yesterday's we had a text reading. I'm not sure if you read it, but it was about rules for decision. I'd recommend reading it. I'll just go there briefly. And he's saying the outlook, this is how you should manage your day. To have the kind of day you want, where it's guided, it's surrendered, you're listening to the Holy Spirit. The first thing you need to do is say, today I will make no decisions by myself. So this means that you're choosing not to be the judge of what to do. So maybe read that, Susie. It might help. This paragraph. The outlook starts with.
The outlook starts with this. Today I will make no decisions by myself. This means that you are choosing not to be the judge of what to do, but it must also mean you will not judge the situations where you will be called upon to make response. If you judge them, you have set the rules for how you should react to them, and then another answer cannot but produce confusion and uncertainty and fear.
So cannot but means can only, just to translate that. Can only produce confusion, uncertainty, and fear. So what he's saying is, don't judge this yourself with your ego, because it's not going to work. This is your major problem. Lynn, do you want to read the next one?
This is your major problem now. You still make up your mind and then decide to ask what you should do. And what you hear may not resolve the problem as you saw it first. This leads to fear because it contradicts what you perceive, and so you feel attacked and therefore angry. There are rules by which this will not happen, but it does occur. But it does occur at first while you are learning how to hear. Yeah.
So you're being retrained to start to listen to this other voice, this other guidance, which you haven't listened to for so long. And this is the mind training. This is why he's asking us to do the workbook lessons frequently, every hour. And then he says, Lynn, do you want to read the next one? Throughout the day, at any time.
Throughout the day, at any time, you can think of it and have a quiet moment for reflection. Tell yourself again the kind of day you want, the feelings you would have, the things you want to happen to you, and the things you would experience, and say, if I make no decisions by myself, this is the day that will be given me. These two procedures, practiced well, will serve to let you be directed without fear, for opposition will not first arise and then become a problem in itself.
So he's asking us to just open into a state of not knowing. I don't make the decisions by myself. I ask. And the major problem is we decide, we make up our mind, and then we decide to ask what we should do. But we've already decided. And don't do that. Just open yourself to start it. Say, I don't know. I really don't know what I should do in this situation. And I'm willing to drop all my preconceived notions. I don't know. So show me. And if you're really sincere in that, you will be shown. It might not come straight away, but the thought comes in, just drops in randomly. It might be, not when you're doing any spiritual practice at all. You're just walking around or cooking or shopping, or the thought just drops in and goes, do that. And you get the guidance. But you orchestrated it by doing this, by really consciously, willingly letting go. Okay, so that's well worth reading. Decisions, rules for decisions. So this is almost like a workbook lesson. This particular section of the text, to way out your day to really help you to stay on track, because he knows that you guys are going to come in and try and pull you off track. Okay, so let's have a little look at today's teaching. So we read the quote about an hour ago. So we go to moving swiftly on to paragraph 1. Who wants to read that? Don't all volunteer at once.
My connection's gone down. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I have a go?
Yeah. It's my signal's breaking up, I think. So we're from today's quote.
Yeah. What's up? Yeah.
Okay. Today's quote from lesson 198 of the workbook of A Course in Miracles is just another reminder about the only way you'll ever escape from disaster, suffering in all its forms, and ultimately death itself. Let go of your belief in these illusions and your false self-concept that has invented and perpetuates them.
And it does perpetrate them as well. Projects them and then perceives them as real. So there's only one way out. There's one way in. You got attached to your false beliefs. You believe that, and now the way out is to let go of your belief. And what else? What other way is there? Yeshua can't free us, wave a magic wand and free us, if we still want to keep believing in death, disaster, pain, suffering, and the ego's Pandora's box of tricks. He can't help us. He's saying, I can only remind you of the truth that none of this stuff is real. Okay, so any thoughts on paragraph 1? No?
No.
Okay, so moving on to number 2 then. Susie, if you can read that.
To emphasize his point, Yeshua also tells us that this is the plan of perfect love, which he also calls the universal curriculum. We all came to this world to learn atonement and salvation, or as we call it in our alternative AOLG, Course in Lingo, language, awakening. Other teachers and spiritual paths have called it enlightenment and transformation, but whatever you call it, it remains the singular, timelessly true purpose for all human lives.
So everyone actually has this opportunity to go on the hero's journey. Not everyone takes it. Most people stay in the known world and they never venture into the unknown. But this is there as the archetypal pattern for every human life, if you choose, if you're willing to listen and go on the journey. So that was, Joseph Campbell's genius, was he saw a pattern, said, okay, so this is how it works. It's a circular pattern, and this has been going on forever. It's in every myth, it's in every legend that he studied. It's the same pattern. It's the same story over and over again. And so that story is a universal story. It applies to every human being. Not actually go beyond that, in which case your journey is never really lived. You never really had the courage to take it. But if you're here today, then you're on it. Otherwise you wouldn't be seeing this. It means you're on it, you're ready for it, you're awakening, you're in this process, called by these various names. At-one-ment, salvation, awakening, the universal curriculum, enlightenment. It's all referring to the same thing. Okay, so learn if you read the next one. This is why it's also been called the perennial philosophy.
This is why it's also been called the perennial philosophy that has been in evidence since before recorded human history, starting with the shamans of the prehistoric tribes and developing into the more sophisticated teachings of ancient India, the Vedas, that spread throughout Asia, which in turn led to many Eastern religions such as Hinduism, Taoism, and Buddhism, developing around the teachings of spiritually awakened people like Krishna, Lao Tzu, and someone else, also known as the Buddha.
Siddhartha Gautama. So these people, they've now become, as Alan Watts says, pedestalized. We've put them on pedestals and gone, oh, they were so awakened and so enlightened, and we couldn't possibly attain what they attained. It's nonsense. They were just people. It's like everyone else. They had their stuff going on, but they took the hero's journey, and they awoke, and then they become the examples for other people. And then over 2,000 years, people do what they do, and they give them titles, and they say, oh, you were the special one, you were the Buddha, you're the Christ, and somehow put them on a pedestal and make it unattainable. So you go, well, I couldn't possibly be like Siddhartha because he was the Buddha, and there's only one Buddha. And it's just nonsense. It's absolute rubbish. We've all got this potential if we're willing to do what they did. They just were willing to go on the hero's journey, to let it all go back into rebirth. I don't know anymore. Like everything that I thought I knew, I don't know. It was all rubbish, and so now I'm willing to be taught, and so we can do that too. They just become the way shows for us on our own hero's journey. And their teachings and their presence is there to encourage us on that journey. And so Yeshua, is another one of these enlightened masters. He's there as a guide for us. He's there to try and help us to take the journey he took. And so then he came along. Almost certainly went to India and Tibet. There's a lot of evidence of that, and then came back into his society with this higher knowledge, and they didn't understand it because he'd gone elsewhere to get it. And then he added his own unique insights about the tiny mad idea of separation, as he calls it in the Course of Miracles, and the sin and the guilt that believing in it fosters. And which then lead to all the ego's other mad thoughts and emotions, such as fear of punishment, desire or craving, as the Buddha called it, anger, hatred, jealousy, and the whole Pandora's box of negative thoughts and emotions, which just negate. They're called negative because they negate the truth of who you are. That's all they're there to do. When I had a mystic experience after 9 days of silent meditation, it was so clear to me that everything that we think, all the thoughts and emotions, are just a setup. The world has been designed to set us up for those, so that we can think these thoughts and we can feel these emotions, and that then covers over this pure formless awareness, which is still in our minds, which is still the source of who we are. Okay, any thoughts on that?
I think when you were talking, what just come up for me was what hurts the most is the awareness of me doing that to myself, of really putting myself through that punishment and anger and hatred towards myself. And it's not sitting right with myself because it's not the truth. Yeah, I'm still choosing it. And this is the gateway, like you keep saying. Well, not like you keep saying, I don't mean to say it in that way. It's the way that you're guiding us constantly and letting us know to see the truth. But whatever it is, it's very strong. But I'm getting it slowly, if that makes sense. Just even having that quietness in between breaks of understanding and realizing. And that's what's so uncomfortable, isn't it? Because you're believing lies about yourself. Because it's not the truth of who you are. It's not the truth of who you are. So it is going to hurt because you're not choosing to look at the truth of who you are.
Any pain and suffering is not a part of you, as he says yesterday.
So obviously Monday opened up something totally new. Yeah, Monday's opened something totally, opened it, and yeah.
No, you've opened up to this true self. There's a collapse, a real day, a moment of reckoning where you saw the program. You have to see that program so clearly, and it's devastating. When I had my mystic experience, I cried. I was like, how could I have done this? Because I realized I'd done it. How could I, like this pristine, pure, formless awareness that I just experienced for a while, not very long, but it's just so, just there's nothing you need to do in that space. Just everything's there, it's given you. You're perfect and whole and complete, and it's just beautiful. What a beautiful experience. And then I covered that over, and I created all this crap. I mean, that was what came through my mind. Just rubbish thoughts and emotions to cover this over, and the world is in the justification for those thoughts and emotions. You see how it works? And then it was just like a download. The Holy Spirit interpreted all this. Yeah, but that's why it's called the veil of illusion. Because this is what we've done. We have all this rubbish we've believed in. We've projected it out. We create now all the stuff that's going on in this world. And that seems to be the justification for all the rubbish, which is created in the first place. And so we're just recycling rubbish all the time. And that's just covering over that pristine, pure formless awareness. And when, you see so clearly what it is that you've been doing your entire life, and probably many lives, it was just, I just cried. It was so sad. I was like, how could I have done that?
It is actually heartbreaking, isn't it? It's
how could we have done this? What an insane, stupid thing to do. So there's a natural tendency to want to, blame yourself. But that's part of the undoing. Okay, well, at least I've realized it now. I'm aware of what I have been doing. And, Yeshua's saying very simply, just don't beat yourself up for doing it. Just stop doing it, for God's sake. Stop doing it now. It's enough.
But it's like one of those things when you say stop doing it, it's like telling a kid not to do something. The more you tell somebody not to do something, they do it even more without even realizing it. But even then, that's a pattern, or it's having to break it down all the time, or just get out your own way without this constant.
Constant interference. So it's the journey is challenging because the ego is interfering. If there was no interference, it would be like, okay, no need for a journey, no interference, there would be no journey. It's like, I'm already there. But the journey is there because you've got the block, the awareness of love's presence that's trying to interfere all the time. So you've got to overcome that, and you're really just fighting against yourself. You know, the enemies and the dragons and all the stuff that shows up in these myths and legends are really just projections of the ego that are there to tempt us.
It's the point when you realise you don't benefit from it at all, from the telling yourself off and stuff. You know, I'm sort of that, like, what, I'm telling myself off. I know I need to stop telling myself off, and sometimes at times I can, but it's like I'm not benefiting from that at all. It's just whether at that point I can then tell myself, which I do. I say I'm perfect, whole and complete. That's the phrase I keep just like saying to myself when I've got that horrible, dreadful feeling of dread, you know, in my heart. That's what I say. Sometimes I can say it, sometimes I can't.
Yeah. So that's because that's the truth. You just got to return to the truth. You know, I am love. I am perfect, whole, complete. You use whatever form of it works for you. In the name your game exercise, we turn it around, we flip your flop, and then the person gets a word. Often it's I am love, but it could be I am enough or I am powerful. And that word is enough to bring them back into that awareness of that true self. So
and it has to stop, because if you think about it, we question what is love and what is self-love, because we have all these ideas and these conceptions of what it is. But this is, I've said it time and time again, this is the best thing for self-love, because you're so aware. If you weren't aware, you'd actually be beating yourself up now. You wouldn't actually be sitting here thinking, do you know what? So I appreciate it all, because we are sitting in a space where we're being open. You know, although it feels like my heart's closed, it's not closed. That's an illusion that I'm still following and believing in. You know, and
because you're aware now.
Yeah, but I believe we've been aware a very long time, and I think that probably hurts as well. I keep saying the awareness hurts, but this is the most loving thing you can do for yourself, because you are giving it. You're not literally beating yourself up here. You're actually sharing something really close to you, because you know you just want to get on in life, and you know that something's happening. You're unsure of it. It's just, gosh, we believe a lot of bullshit about ourselves, don't we?
But we've all done it.
Yeah.
Everyone is human, has done this. So, okay, just welcome to the human condition. Everyone's done it, including the masters. They had to overcome their own egos. That's just how it goes. So, okay, no big deal. I'm just another hero on a hero's journey. It's all unfolding. I know if I keep being open and I keep following this guidance.
Yeah, but we don't hear people express it like this, and that's why we've denied it, and that's why it hurts even more, because you have denied it. You know, you've denied it that you love. You know, you think about kids, all they want is love and acceptance, and they love anyone and everybody, regardless of what goes on. It's only when you go to school you start thinking you're different and add stuff to yourself, but weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. In an upside down world made by a false self, it's all quite strange and weird. And this is what Yesha's trying to say to us. You know, your known world, you think it's so normal and secure. It's totally bonkers. It's all upside down and insane. And You have to see that. You have to see it for what it is to leave it. Then you leave the known world. You know, you're now an outlier. You're not in that world anymore, and most people are in that. So then you don't feel like, you know, I'm at home, and it's issues of belonging, and you know, do these people actually want me or value me? But your source is now guiding you, and so you go on this journey into the unknown, and you do that for the love of them as well, because you bring that back to them when you've completed the journey. You know, there's always the return. Okay, so now I've been through this, and I can bring these gifts back with me, and I can teach people from not just theoretically, but from an experiential knowing. And so I'm doing it for them, because the only way they're going to free themselves from their prison is to have help and guidance. You know, they need mentors. Then you become the mentor and the helper and the guide for the next generation of heroes, and that's how it's always worked. So that's our destiny, and it's a magnificent one. You know, as a human being, seemingly human, this is the best you can do. Follow the hero's journey, do the full cycle, come back into your known world, but now as the enlightened being you are, and call others to adventure. Call them to do the same thing, because that's what their life is about. That's what everyone's life is about. The ego is going to dispute that. It doesn't want people to see this. Gives them all kinds of other purposes. No, your life's about making money. Your life's about having a family. Your life's about, you know, endless special goals. And in all of that, the awakening, the one thing that you're meant to do is obscured in all of that. And this is just about making it conscious, making yourself aware of it. So this is the perennial philosophy. And I really recommend reading this article. So it's a brilliant article by a guy called Roger Walsh, who's very learned. He's a scholar. He's studied A Course in Miracles. He's well versed in the Eastern teachings. And
I did skim through it actually, and I did find it interesting, and it did make me question myself, because I think it was 2016 or 2015. I went on a retreat with he's mentioned one of the yogas, with the BKs. They do the Raja Yoga, I think it is. And they used to really annoy me, because they kept saying that your peace, and I kept thinking, I don't feel peaceful. So it was one of those things, but it's weird, because you've come across some of these things. But I did find it, because he was it the word God or something? He wasn't keen on it either, was he? Was some of the wording or?
I haven't read it for a while. I need to read
yeah,
it.
I think it was, yeah.
He's talking about a universal, you know, Yeshua calls it universal curriculum, saying this Course in Miracles is a universal teaching, and this is why. And comparing it to other paths like yoga, four yogas, the path of the intellect, the path of the heart, the path of service, the path of meditation. And so all of these paths are actually included in the course. And he says, well, this is where it's included. So it's really a multi-dimensional teaching. It's very rich, and there's deeper. He talks about deeper levels of significance in this. So as you go deeper into it, more reveals itself. So you never get bored of it, because you're going deeper into yourself through the teaching, and then you read the same words you might have read many times, and they suddenly just hit you in another way, and you go, wow, okay, I just got another realization. So you can't get bored of it, because it's the journey of exploration into your own self, and the course is just facilitating that. So I recommend have a read of it. It's a really good article. Okay, so a couple more paragraphs, then we'll go into the lesson. So I can't remember whose turn it is. Anyone read? Lynn, should be obvious to you.
It should be obvious to you from your reading of this article that whenever you choose to forgive or let go of any negative thought or emotion, you accept the fundamental truth the perennial philosophy postulates, which is the existence of a transcendent, timeless, infinite reality. And whenever you hold on to a negative thought or emotion, you choose to give reality to the ego and all its beliefs in a separate self, an external world that contradicts your true purpose of awakening to the awareness of this timeless, transcendent reality.
Okay. Does that just contemplate what I'm saying there? Whenever you choose, if you choose not to let go, you have to accept the whole of the ego's construct and its world and its reality, or not at all. So, not letting go is a high metaphysical price to pay, because you have to then accept that this world is real and that everything that goes on here is real. Pain and suffering and sickness and death and disaster and chaos and mayhem and madness and ultimately more death. And you have to accept all of that is real if you don't let go. That's the truth of the matter. Wow, and it's quite a choice when you state it in those terms, isn't it? And so what he's trying to do is say to us over and over, look, this is the consequence of your choice. Realize what you're doing. Realize what's at stake here. And so you start to become more aware of your choices, and you'll make better choices then. So wow, the consequence of my choice here for the ego in this moment, if I'm holding on and I'm choosing to stay stuck in whatever the negative emotion is, fear, anger, then I am contradicting the whole truth. And I have to believe then in everything in this world, which is horrifying. You then got to believe in all the illusions, and all the pain and the suffering and the sickness and the death is real, because it's a whole choice. It's one or the other. So that's a simple choice you're really called to make. Whenever you're faced with a seemingly difficult decision, it's always okay. So next paragraph, such as the simple choice. You can read that, Susie.
Such is the simple choice you are called to make whenever you are faced with seemingly difficult decision. In yesterday's live discussion, Sally asked how we can judge, or in course,
ALG, art of letting go.
An art of letting go. Sorry, I couldn't remember what the O was. Art of letting go language, discern the difference between the ego's impulses and the Holy Spirit's or remembrance of perfect love's genuine guidance.
So this was what we discussed on Monday. How do you know the difference? And Yeshua's giving us that decision rule, saying, don't try and do it yourself. Give it over, hand it over, and say, I don't know. Otherwise, you're prejudging it, and that prejudgment is always going to be the ego.
I'll hand it over to you, Jono, because it seems like I've got a lot of judgments, because what you're saying and everything makes perfect sense, but it just seems that I'm not doing it. So I'd rather hand it to you. But then it's putting it to one side that I just don't. It's like you're avoiding it now. You just don't want to go there. It's weird, isn't it?
You don't want to go there because it's undoing of the separate self. So people say, well, yes, of course I want guidance. Imagine you knew there's a guide there that's going to tell you exactly what to do, when to do it, and it's all perfectly orchestrated. It'll bring you into a harmonious flow with life and with other people. Like, why would you resist that guide? I mean, it's surely you'd want that. but we resist it because it's the end of the separate self, the end of the human condition. That's why we resist it. So we like the idea of being successful and things flowing, but we don't want to give up our separate self to do that. That's the problem. But you have to give up your separate self if you're going to stay in that state of flow. There's no choice. Okay, so any other thoughts on this? Questions, comments on this little teaching? It's quite a nice warm-up to today's lesson. I'm aware we've got about half an hour, 35 minutes or so. So let's do the lesson, and then we'll do a meditation on it. So lesson 249. We're on to, so either one of you can read, if you can read the key idea, the original, and then the alternative version.
Forgiveness ends all suffering and loss. Letting go ends all suffering and loss.
And so just, again, the difference between the word forgiveness and letting go. Letting go is so practical and tangible. Okay, I just need to let go. Okay. Often the problem with forgiveness is people are, well, what does that actually mean? Who am I forgiving? You're actually forgiving yourself, but what does that even mean? Forgiving yourself means you're letting go of the false beliefs, false thoughts and beliefs and emotions that they generate, that create all the experience of suffering and loss for you. And you're willing to let those go. And say, no more will I entertain these, because I do not want to suffer and to lose and to die. This is not a happy, functional way to live my life. And he's very categoric. No exceptions. It ends it all. And the whole dream we have here of being a separate self is a dream of suffering and loss, if you're honest with yourself. Because you've lost your true self, you've lost your true identity, seemingly. You've lost the pure formless awareness of perfect love. And now you're trying to make do with this loss. You're trying to somehow find happiness and peace and satisfaction while maintaining this suffering and loss in your mind. And that's obviously never going to work. Okay, so if you want to read number 1, Lynn, read the original translation.
Forgiveness paints a picture of a world where suffering is over, loss becomes impossible, and anger makes no sense. Attack is gone and madness has an end. What suffering is now conceivable? What loss can be sustained? The world becomes a place of joy, abundance, charity, and endless giving. It is now so like to heaven that it quickly is transformed into the light that it reflects. And so the journey which the Son of God began has ended in the light from which he came.
Okay, alternatively.
Letting go paints a picture of a world where suffering is over, loss becomes impossible, and anger makes no sense. Attack is gone and madness has ended. What suffering is now conceivable? What loss can be sustained? The world becomes a place of joy, abundance, charity, and endless giving. It is now so like to the state of pure formless awareness that it quickly transformed into the awareness that it reflects. And so the journey which the extension of perfect love began has ended in the pure formless awareness from which it came.
Okay. Any thoughts on that? Feelings on that? What came up for you as you read that?
It made me wonder how sometimes I don't feel that stuff, that negative stuff, and other times I do, really. Letting go paints a picture of a world where suffering is over. Someone told me once that I compartmentalize things in my life, and this is just making it clearer, really. I can see where I see a world that's not suffering and is perfect and beautiful, and then there's the times when my own personal life is really painful and suffering, and it's confusing. And I know what I've got to do. I know I've got to let go. And when I think back, we were talking earlier about how we've moved forward. I can think back to a time when I felt like it 24 hours a day. So I've moved on massively. When I feel these feelings of sadness and all guilt and all that stuff, I can lift myself out of it.
Remember that. It was useful to have that awareness.
Yeah, so I don't feel like, I feel like it's so much less, but then I've got myself this situation in my life that, it does keep screaming my lack of self-worth. It keeps literally screaming it in my face. So yeah, well, just what came up as well from what you were both saying earlier, I thought I dealt with my trauma, my childhood trauma. So I'm guessing this is just a whole new layer to work on that's coming up now in my life. Because I know I've dealt with loads of it. I've let go. I've forgiven myself for so many things in my life, but not completely, because there's still the stuff I'm blaming myself for. That's what I find confusing. Is that possible? I feel like I have forgiven myself for things in the past. But obviously now there's stuff that I'm not forgiving myself for. Does that mean I didn't let go of it? Or is this just another layer?
Well, there's a core belief. So you haven't fully let go of the belief in being a separate self. So it comes up in another way. And as long as that's a resident belief, you're going to have pain and suffering, because it's the belief that's causing the pain and suffering. But that's all good, because it's got to come up to be seen.
Yeah.
Become aware of it, and then you can release it. So if someone's showing you that, you have a special playmate in the illusion who's showing you that all the time, that's really helpful, because they're showing you your shadow and they helping you release it. And if you still get triggered, then you haven't released it yet. Okay, well, some more work to do. And they bring it up again, and then the tendency is to want to blame them, but that's not the case. It's your own shadow.
Yeah, and I am aware of that.
Manifesting for you. And if you see that, then they're your greatest teacher. And when you've really let it go, then that will no longer happen, because there won't be anything to trigger you. They can behave however they want, you just wouldn't be triggered. And maybe they just fade away out of your life, or maybe they transform and you end up having the holy relationship. You don't know.
Yeah.
Again, you don't know, so I think part of the problem is you maybe trying to control the outcome. You still want the special relationship. And instead of saying, well, my only goal here is awakening, and I don't know how that really looks. I have no idea, actually. So
that's what I'm coming to now. I'm seeing it, that it is what it is. I know it's this, he's this big life lesson, and I know he's reflecting all my stuff back to me. And I know that, I'm trying to let go of the last bits of the stuff that's causing me the pain, so that it doesn't keep coming up in this form.
So use it. He's a great teacher. Use it for what it's for, because if you don't, guess what? It's going to come up in another way. It'll be with someone else.
Yeah.
Every relationship you have, you'll get it. It's there in your own mind. You can't run away from yourself.
Yeah, and this is different. What I've got going on here, I have similar patterns in my relationships, but this is a different one. This is, yeah, this is, it's obviously bringing up different aspects of my self-worth, and
which is helpful
past.
because bringing up
Yeah.
something you didn't know, and
Yeah.
here it is, and
it's
difficult and it's challenging and it feels, you know, awful a lot of the time, but it's necessary if you're going to undo that separate self.
Yeah.
So the hero just says, okay, bring it on. Right, come, I'm ready. Let's do this. I'm not going to wait anymore. I have the tools, I have the knowledge, I know how I can do this, because I don't have to know. I'm not the one who is doing this. It's the spirit, and so my job is just to surrender. Okay, show me. I really don't know, and know that it's all going to work out perfectly, however it works out in form. You know, you may be together and you may not be together. Either way, it's worked out as it should work out.
So I keep telling myself,
why are you attached to the outcome? You see, it's like it'll work out for the highest good. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
But there's still a part of you maybe that wants to control it, that still values that, and oh no, but I want that because now you know, your self-concept identified with it. So you think you're getting something from it, and then that attachment then prevents you from truly letting go. It's like, well, I don't know. So maybe I'm with him, maybe I'm not with him. I don't know. And either way is okay, because really this whole process is just there for my awakening. In the end, I'm not human.
I can feel the moments when I do let go of the attachment because I feel calm. I don't feel sad about possibilities of the future. So the attachment, you know, goes, but it's sustaining that. So it's been up and down, but you know, it's I'm getting there, but it's not. I haven't completely sussed it, obviously, but yeah, I have moments where I feel calm and I know that I'm going to be all right. In other parts of my life, like my business, it's just taken a massive step forward for me. It's that contrast thing that's confusing to me, but I'm appreciating all the good stuff. So
well, it's all up in the air, so it's all been thrown up, and then it does feel confusing because you've got these two conflicting thought systems. The one's arising, the Holy Spirit's arising strongly, and that's, you know, that's what's bringing about the positive change. And then at the same time, the ego's kicking up the storm, and it all seems to be a bit of a jumble and a mess in there. And you're trying to sort it all out. And he actually talks about, you know, development of trust, which we did the other day. In the development of trust, you need to sort it out. There's a period of sorting out that's required. Development of trust. Period of stuff that's not serving you. Then there's a period of sorting out. So he's saying, you know, this is the process, and 4 of these 6 stages are difficult. So, you know, the journey is not easy. This is Yeshua's version of the hero's journey. So that's worth a read, and we'll get to it in the next few weeks, because we're going to actually be doing the manual for teachers. So we'll study this, read it and study it. Okay.
I'm sorry,
so
I've got to go.
You got to go. Okay.
Really sorry. Thank you so much for today.
Okay.
It's been great.
All
Thank you. And I hopefully see you all soon.
Okay. Join us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. All right. So let's just do paragraph 2 there, Susie. If you read the original and then the translation and discuss it, and we'll go into a meditation.
Father, we would return our minds to you. We have betrayed them, held them in a vise of bitterness, and frightened them with thoughts of violence and death. Now would we rest again in you as you created us. My source, I choose to return my awareness to you. I've betrayed it, held it in a vice of bitterness, and frightened it with thoughts of violence and death. Now I choose to rest again in you as you extend me and all of us. Wow, that's got me right in the throat.
I choose to return my awareness to you. I've disconnected my awareness from the source. That's what we've done, seemingly. But I choose to return this awareness to you. Which means I must let go of thoughts of violence and death and all the insane ideas that I have. And just choose to rest again in this eternal presence that extends all of us. So you extend me. You didn't create, take it away from the past tense, as you created us. No, as you extend me and all of us right now, that's happening. There would be no awareness. We couldn't be having this conversation. There would be no life, no awareness without this presence extending us right now. And so it's absolutely present right now. It's there. And that's why in the Bible, some parts it's called the living God, right? Because it's the very essence of life in you that's living in you that you get in touch with. So any thoughts on that? Feelings coming up? Should we
I think it just, it's
meditation?
Yeah, like you said, the session's long enough for you to actually, really get into it. Because before I was thinking I need to sit with this, not allowing, and then that just pierces you like it's never gone away. And I don't even know what to say, but it's the truth. My source, I choose to return my awareness to you. It's just, I've betrayed it, held it in a vice of bitterness and frightened it with thoughts of violence and death. Gosh. Now I choose to rest again in you as you extend me and all of us. It's powerful, that is. Very.
Okay, well let's meditate on it. Have you got until past?
Yes, yeah.
Sharp. Okay, so we'll do a 12-minute meditation.
Okay.
All right, so just making yourself comfortable into a nice meditation posture, sitting with your feet shoulder width apart, back straight. Cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. Start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Just pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile. Just scan your mind, so notice any thoughts, any emotions, any related sensations going on in the body. Just feel into that as you breathe into it to create some space, some awareness. This is the light. The maximal inhale breath, feel the sphincter muscle contracting, pull the energy up the spine into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart to connect with your heart space. And then draw the energy, the final sip of air, all the way up into the crown of your head. And just pausing at the top of the inhale. And just rest in this peace and stillness. There's nowhere else to go really, and there's nothing else to do. Just be in the moment. Listen to these words. It's prayer. Say, my source, I choose to return my awareness to you. I betrayed it, held it in a vice of bitterness and frightened with thoughts of violence and death. Now I choose to rest again in you as you extend me and all of us. So make that choice now to just let go of all the violence and death and crazy thoughts and emotions of the ego. Just blow them away. The dark cloud leaving you. Just let them go. Going. Go on, pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. Totally empty yourself and sink into the emptiness, into this void, the abyss of truth. It's empty of the ego, but it's full of the spirit. It's empty but full at the same time. It's the paradoxical nature of truth. Only in relation to illusion, though. Truth that just is. So connect with the isness of your being. Accept this source streaming into your mind. Breathe it in again. Breathe the source, it's the life essence to every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. It's in the light. Of your true awareness. And so just for a couple of minutes, you're going to breathe and relax. Be still. Sink into this awareness. Breathe in and out through your nose. Notice the air flowing into the nostrils and out of the nostrils. Chest and the stomach sucking back in. And you just rest in this awareness. Watch your breath. Rest in the empty fullness of the source. You return your awareness to your source. You let go of all thoughts, cover it over. Fear and anger and attack thoughts and hatred and jealousy and rage and guilt and fear and sin and on it goes. All of that is gone. Just let it go. Choose to rest again in this presence, perfect stillness. Allow yourself to be extended. By the source for a couple of minutes of deep silence. And if any thoughts come up that seem to disturb this deep peace, just observe them casually. Breathe into them to create some space, some awareness, some light, and Remind yourself that letting go ends all suffering and loss. So you can let them go. The breeze of your breath, exhale, blow them all out, let them all go to the nothingness they really are. Going, on. All of those stomach into the spine. And just rest here for another minute or so of deep contemplative silence. Feel the love that is you. Say, I am love, I am the source of eternal love, and I am extended. This love extends me and all my companions in this moment. And then just surrender to that love for a minute or two of deep silence. Coming back into an awareness of the body and the breath and the senses and the world. And on the count of three, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how your stomach rises and your chest rises and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Just pausing at the top of the inhale, observing body sensations, the breath. Scan your mind, notice any thoughts and emotions going on there. If there's still anything that feels at all unpleasant, negative, limiting, contracted in any way, just remind yourself that letting go ends all suffering and loss, so you can choose to release it right now. Exhale, express that intent, have a sense of letting it go with the breath. Notice how the air flows out, chest and the stomach suck back in. Notice the energy subsiding down from the crown to your lower stomach and your groin. From the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest. And the peace and the stillness. The count of 2. Notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling and touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, a smell in your nose. Notice that. Notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things in this very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. And So on the count of 3, it's going to open your eyes. Just take a moment to look around, noticing the various objects in the room around you from the state of pure formless awareness. So don't name or judge or label anything, just observe it. And connect with the deep presence and very peaceful awareness. It was there in the meditation and it's here now, your eyes are open. So start to learn, it doesn't really matter when your eyes are open, another object, and you'll see that it's exactly the same awareness. There is no difference. And just stay connected to this awareness. So set the intention to stay there, and to help you do that, just practice today's lesson frequently. Nisha recommends every hour, so just a few seconds, you can remind yourself letting go ends all suffering and loss, and do a little breath, or if you've got a bit more time, you can use the 3-minute breath break that I sent you. Or there's some instructions to do it in one breath in under a minute. So try and practice that every hour, and that'll keep you connected. And that's the way you do this work of the hero's journey. Just stay connected. Keep bringing yourself back to this awareness, no matter what seems to happen. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the meditation and the session. So thank you, Susie.
Once again, thank you.
Yeah, only a pleasure. Keep doing the work, keep practicing, and know that it's all good. It's all happening for you. And hopefully see you again soon. Yeah, we've got a couple more sessions this week, so join us tomorrow or Friday if you can.
I will do if I can. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Namaste. Bye for now.